There's something about the first days of spring when everything begins to feel quietly alive again. The primroses return, the light softens, and even the smallest corners of the cottage seem to shift with the season. If you enjoy simple embroidery, gentle baking, cottage gardens, and the small rituals of cottage life, I hope you'll stay with me for a little while. Today I wanted to spend a spring day inspired by the world of Beatrix Potter, filled with rabbits, handiwork, and simple things made at home. I began the morning in the kitchen with something simple and comforting. Chocolate chip cookies shaped into little rabbits. There's something rather pleasing about taking the time to make something so small and whimsical, especially at this time of year. As they baked, the kitchen filled with that familiar warmth, one of those small comforts that never really changes. Once everything had cooled, I laid the table with one of my favourite tablecloths, scattered with topiary rabbits. It felt just the right thing for spring 11s. A pot of tea poured into a well-loved mug with a rabbit ear-shaped handle. And of course, a plate of chocolate chip rabbits, a couple of which were perhaps a little misshapen. The sort of quiet moment that feels almost like stepping into a storybook. Over time, rabbits have found their way into so many corners of the cottage. On the walls, on the shelves, tucked into small spaces here and there. Some are quite old, others simply very well loved, but together they've become part of the fabric of the cottage. At this time of year especially, they seem to belong. Particularly evocative of Easter is this folk art wooden rabbit painted in jolly Easter colours. By the afternoon, the mad March winds had really set in. One of those blustery March days where the wind rushes in from the sea and everything feels a little wild again. I took the opportunity to step outside and give the box hedge I'm fashioning into a topiary rabbit its first trim of the season. I'm wearing my 1930s spring green wool coat, which is nice and long, and being wool protects me nicely from the wind. Slowly I start to shape the box plant that has grown shaggy over winter back into its rabbit form. Its back view is a little more impressive than the front, since my rabbit's face is taking a while to grow in. My topiary rabbit is not perfect, of course, but I like to think that's part of its charm. After the wind and the cold, it felt especially good to come back inside, to something quieter, returning to an embroidery piece I had started some time ago, a small journal cover, slowly taking shape with hand embroidery. On the front, Peter Rabbit, stitched in soft threads and scraps of fabric, in a leafy and floral setting evocative of the cottage gardens sketched by Beatrix Potter. And on the reverse, Jemima Paddle Duck, just beginning to emerge. I chose a pale blue scrap of velvet for her body so that I could add in her feathers and soft white embroidery thread, and a light pink velvet scrap for her distinctive shawl. There's something very satisfying about finishing a piece like this, adding the final stitches, backing it with a vintage floral cotton, and turning it into something both useful and personal. A cover that can be slipped on and off and returned to year after year. And so the day and the project comes gently to a close. A small collection of things made by hand, a few quiet moments held on to, and the feeling, more than anything, of welcoming spring back in.